in 2 days.
3 days. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. That is correct.
Why are we claiming all those tractors in 3 days?
It's breaks.
Why not?
Why?
What? What happened?
Because the class is only 4 months.
What?
Why?
What was the question?
Why are we doing all that in 3 days?
Because they're small chapters.
It's not that hard, I promise.
I don't want to carry up and do
You don't have to absorb every piece of information in the book because a lot of it is just informational, technical, you know.
Start working so I can put this damn.
As I mentioned before, really, all you gotta do is get the basics of each one of these lessons.
Yeah.
You don't have to know all of this technical stuff.
Yeah, we walked.
I mean, it's just not possible to know all that. If you get the basics down like you have in all the other ones, and you pass your test, and you're passing your ASE, you're fine. Okay? You'll learn the rest as you do it, as, you know, throughout your career. When you start working on the cars, then the stuff starts coming back to you, and you're, oh, I remember that, and, you know, it kind of helps you, but you're not gonna remember everything that was taught in this class. It's just not possible, nobody does.
Yeah. Change the subject. I didn't tell you I did a piston job.
What?
Yes, at Audi. Yes, I did. I did piston.
Really?
Took the whole engine out
Mm-hmm.
and everything, and saw the piston like it was broken, like it was really broken and
Nice.
cracked, like it was, yeah.
Proofer didn't have it. That's fine.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I did. I do have pictures. I did.
You do have pictures, huh?
I didn't get a chance because he was really, it took him, like, he was actually taking his time to explain things and walk me through the steps, but he's like, I
That's
could have
cool.
gotten this done in like a day and a half. Like, he could have gotten it done real quick by himself, but because he was taking time
Oh,
to show me,
nice.
it took him a little bit longer.
You were working with Taylor?
No, I actually did it with Niels.
That's who it was. Remember the time I told you somebody at the Honda dealership when he was in the program?
Mm-hmm.
He worked at Audi for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Because he wasn't getting paid, blah, blah, blah. Taylor was the one that was doing transmissions. And while he was doing the transmission, he helped him get it done pretty quick. So he paid him $200 for helping him with it.
Nice.
Taylor at Audi?
Yeah.
Is there two? Is there two? Because there's another guy named Taylor.
There was somebody doing transmissions named Taylor.
Yeah, but
Look,
that guy
I'll show
can't-
Ron real
he
quick.
can't go to the 12 one,
No, I'm not saying
So-
Taylor for the program.
Oh,
Somebody
very
at
cool.
that dealership
And then we got
went
it
to Audi
open.
for the
Mhm.
program, and he was with
And then there
Taylor.
was actually metal pieces of the pistons
Mm-hmm.
in there.
And the oil pumps.
Yeah.
Can I see
So
what
I
you
show
done?
all that, and then that's the broken one.
Oh, yeah, sure is.
Like perfectly.
Wow. Oh, yeah. So was the cylinder wall okay?
Yeah.
Was
the
it
cylinder
really?
wall was
Wow.
okay. Yeah. Like I got
So
all
did they
in there.
just put a new piston and rings in it, or did they run a hone through the cylinder to clean the cylinder up, or was it just okay?
No, they didn't clean the cylinder
Really?
up or anything.
Normally when a piston burns like that, it messes with the cylinder wall. Not
Yeah.
every time, but
No, but we went and then we had to clean the cover and everything and
Mhm.
scrub that down and reseal it, and
Can I see?
it was, yes, that was the piston. That was-
very cool.
Oh, my lord.
Yeah,
Took
that
fuck
was
did
like
they do to
really
me?
broken. Yeah, that was like that one piston that
You
was
did
just
what now?
completely broken.
It's like they took it and threw it.
Yeah. Yeah.
By like 1,000 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, and it was, and the pieces were in the filter and everything.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, isn't that cool? Like, I did a piston job. It was like the best thing ever.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was.
This one's actually pretty.
Bad idea.
It's
But
13.
the
Don't
way
change
it
your
was
oil, the
broken-
car's gonna fail.
Yeah, that's the bad one, yeah. The way it was broken in there, like a piece of it was like in the filter.
Or
Like it was horrible.
this one has 7 pages.
Well, should I even ask what's going on with the Camaro? Should I even ask?
I called them Thursday. I guess the machine shop was waiting on parts. parts should have came Friday.
Those
They should have
bastards.
finished it over the weekend, so I'm gonna call them today. And they better tell me, they
What parts are they waiting for?
Yeah, they
been
probably
2
don't even
months.
know, huh? Probably making up some damn story thinking you don't know what you're talking about, and they can tell you whatever they wanna tell you and you'll just believe it, right?
In 2 months.
All I know.
That's a long time for them to have that. That,
Call them, you should ask them. what
that ain't
parts
right,
are you guys-
man.
What parts are you guys waiting for specifically, like what?
Yeah.
You should ask.
They make something up.
Have you been to the shop to see your car, to see exactly what they've got done to it?
So the shop that I took you to, they not doing the engine work. They sent it to a machine shop.
The whole car?
No, not the whole car.
Yeah,
just-
that's what I mean. Go down there and take pictures of the engine. I wanna see it apart. I wanna see what they're doing. Say, I wanna see my car and, you know, I would just,
Do you have any connection with the shop that's actually working on the motor?
No, I don't.
Yeah, you need to call them and tell them to give you their contact information and get some pictures. Or you can go down there yourself and take pictures. Because they could be bullshitting and just taking a picture of another motor.
all right, where are we at? Hydraulic systems, right? After 98.
Not gonna
We
lie.
covered hydraulics before.
Yeah.
You know, this is gonna go over some of the basic hydraulic, systems and how it works too with the size of the,
Cause they did that same thing to us when we had to go send the motor to a shop to get it fabricated. They did the same thing to us. They took a picture of a different motor and sent it to us. It wasn't because they were trying to hide anything. It's because they mixed the fucking motors up. If we didn't go up there and point out which one was ours, they probably would have given somebody else's motor, and it wasn't the BMW motor. It was a whole different fucking.
It's this though. It's Baja Performance Machine Shop. You know what that is, Ron? Baja's
I think I know what that is.
Never heard of it?
Mm-mm. I think I've heard of it, but I'm not familiar with it. Where did you actually take the car to? Back where you bought it?
Nah, I bought it from CarMax. But
Oh,
the shop
oh.
I took it to, it's a shop called Wrench It on Simmons and Ann.
It's called what?
Wrench It.
Okay.
Wait a fucking second. Anna Simmons? Is it the one right behind the McDonald's and Terribles?
Yeah.
Ain't no fucking way you set that up. That's my homie's shop.
For real?
Yes.
Josh?
Yes. They have like a bunch of Corollas, Miatas, like small cars that they keep in there. Like they work on their personal cars over there.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's my homie's shop, bro. Oh, I'm
You
finna
better
talk-
go find out what's
I'm finna
going
talk
on.
to him,
Yeah,
bro.
Josh, right?
Yeah, I know him. I'm gonna talk to
He
him.
got like some old school cars.
Yeah, like a bunch of like 90s like Japanese cars and shit. Yeah. I'm gonna talk to him, bro.
Right now.
He has
Call
that's the dude I told you that has
Call his ass right
like
now.
it's beat up, the body's like ugly, but it's a Stance LS400.
Oh, yeah.
He just sold it though because he has to get a new car for his family and everything. He just had a kid. But oh yeah, I'm finna talk to him.
Good, maybe we get something done here, get that car back.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get my car before LS passed.
Man,
Yeah,
okay, yeah, I'll
exactly.
definitely talk
When
to him.
is that?
This
What is
weekend.
what? The what?
Oh, this
LS
weekend?
Fest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Is it this
shit.
weekend?
Yeah.
What is that?
You ain't gonna get it back for this weekend.
Yeah.
Well, I
It's
don't
like
know.
a
Never mind, I should.
it's like a big car, a huge car show where they bring like mainly LS, motor cars and everything up there. But yeah, I'm gonna talk to Josh for you. Yeah, what the fuck?
Yeah, do that, please.
I didn't even know what the name of it was. As soon as you said Anna
Well,
Anna
good,
Simmons.
that's why we have these conversations
Yeah.
sometimes, you know? 'cause-
Oh, while
Yeah,
we're
because I
on
know
it,
that guy personally.
I took my car to get the tires balanced.
Mhm.
Well,
We don't care about the tire balance, did you fix your wire?
No. Yes,
No?
I fixed my wire. My wire was fixed that same day. I went down to AutoZone and I fixed it.
yeah.
Good.
Go and get my tires balanced because they're out of balance. Not only did they not torque the wheels, but they reduced my tire pressure. Because I told him, I said, hey, because like he handed me the lug nut, like the lock. And like he was done, and I'm like, you didn't torque the wheels and you didn't check the tire pressure. So I just basically stand there with the guy and argue with him and tell him to torque my wheels and check the pressure because they weren't going to do it. Took the pressure out. Now I have a traction light on, a VSC light on, and my wheels aren't at the right PSI.
What place you used to take it?
Boulder Highway to the Tire Auto Place
Wow.
on Boulder Highway.
Alrighty then.
So, question, where can I go to get this done properly? Cause I just don't trust anywhere. I don't know anywhere.
I
And
only
they
go,
look at
the only,
me
the only
like-
tire place I go to is Discount Tire. I
I
mean,
was gonna say that.
Go to
Yeah.
Ron.
Discount Tire?
yeah.
You can really look at them and do it
A
too.
little mom and pop.
How many cars you got at your house right now?
Yeah, no.
Let's see. 1, 2.
It's a lot when you have to think about it.
Actually, I'm doing good right now. I've only got 2 there right now.
All right, you have one space for one more. You can go over there and get it. So it's gonna
I got a
So-
68 Chevelle convertible and I got a F-150 Ford pickup, but that's
Who's-
it.
who's
Only got
Chevelle?
2. Only got 2 right now.
Who's Chevelle?
GM for Finley Chevrolet, general manager.
Not to bring the third.
Can I get my oil change at Discount Tire too?
No,
No, it's a time.
but
Jiffy.
any of those quick lube places can take care of that. But what area of town do you live in?
Boulder Highway.
I'll just say Boulder Highway, cause that's the
What
main thing that
casino?
I'm
'Cause
close
Boulder
to.
Highway is a
yeah,
long
okay.
strip.
I don't
I'll just say
okay.
Boulder Station, cause that's the
Oh, okay.
closest thing that I know.
Oh, yeah, I got you.
If you're in Henderson, that's not too far from you.
Halfway to Henderson, yeah.
Yeah, that's not too
Yeah,
far.
like
Maybe like a
Henderson is
10,
like-
15-minute drive.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna talk about non-compressibility of liquids used in brake system. Pascal's all we've been through before.
Last thing, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Next time she goes to a shop, you need to go with her because shops been playing her crazy lately.
They do. They
Yeah.
do. Like I hate it. I hate.
It's
going
very
to shops here.
stereotypical, but they like to play with women.
They do, and I
Like-
tell them, and then they get pissed because I tell them, and it pisses them off more because I know what I'm talking about.
they don't like people telling them how to do their job, especially women.
Yeah. it pisses
Absolutely.
them- And I
Absolutely.
hate them. I literally want to do something that I'm not going to say because I'll implicate myself if it really happens.
Years
Take their
ago, I
job.
was, when I was working at the Chevy dealer, I bought a car off of the wholesale line. It had some injector problems. I got the car really cheap, but it was a really nice car. So I used to buy cars like that all the time, buy them and sell them. Sometimes I'd keep them for a while. But I had this one car. I had just bought it. I pulled it into, in the shop, and I just done brakes all the way around on it. And I took it to this place to get tires. So I take it in there, and I'm standing there waiting for the tires. And the guy, I can see the car sitting on the rack with the wheels off it, right? And the guy comes walking out to me and says, "Is that your car?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "It needs brakes." I literally just put brakes, and the brakes didn't have 20 miles on them. Now, I was furious. So "You are a lying piece of shit." I said, "Those brakes are brand new on that car. I mean, from the dealer to your shop, that new." Whoa, I was mad.
What did he say?
I was really mad. Now you try to make up some excuse like, "Oh, maybe I was thinking of the wrong car." Yeah, more like you were lying.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Process of diagnosing and troubleshooting a master cylinder problem. That is, I won't say a common brake problem, but usually if you have a hydraulic system problem with a car, more than likely it's going to be the master cylinder. Okay? This will help prepare you for content area A on your A5. Got to have hydraulics to make your brakes work. All of them use hydraulic pressure to increase brake application force. Liquids cannot be compressed, you know that, right? No matter how much pressure is placed on a quantity of liquid, the volume remains the same. Which is why if you have air in your brake system, they don't work, because you can compress air, right? Okay, this fact enables liquids in a closed system to transmit motion. Here's a nice little diagram of your brake lines, how it transfers brake fluid to all 4 wheels. Okay, depending on how the car is designed, the brakes may split fluid pressure in different ways. This one is, I believe, diagonal split. Is that what they called this? Let's see. Yeah. So what that does is it applies pressure in a diagonal, right, like that. Because you cannot compress liquid, they will transmit motion. Brake pedal, example, master cylinder, maybe the brake caliper or wheel cylinder. Brakes have to be free of air. That's why brakes has bleeders on all of the brake parts, right? All the brake calipers have bleeders on them. It's wheel cylinders can have a bleeder on it. It's always going to be at the top. That's where the air is going to go. If you have air in the system, this is what happens. Hydraulic system must be free of air to operate. If there's air in the system, air is compressed when the brake pedal is depressed. Brake fluid does not transmit motion, or it does it very poorly. We've been through Mr. Pascal before and his law about forcing a liquid in a confined container, transmitted equally and undiminished in every direction. Force times pressure equals area. We don't really know too much about this. We're just giving you again a little bit of a lesson on how hydraulics work. If you put 150 pounds of pressure on that cylinder, it will produce 600 at the wheel cylinder. Okay, we've talked about this before. Because a brake pedal gives you mechanical advantage because of the way it's set up. See where it says 75 pounds on this? Let's say this is your master cylinder, right? With your brake pedal. Pushes on when you push the brake pedal, right? Do you have to put 75 pounds of force on this in order to get your car to stop?
No.
Not even close, right? That's what ends up here, depending on the size of the master cylinder, but obviously because of the way that lever is set up and the fulcrum point here, you have mechanical advantage here. Plus with your power assist, it doesn't take but a little bit of force on that brake pedal to get your car to stop.
Why are some brake pedals sensitive and some of them take like
Brake fluid?
brake to stop?
Yeah,
For my
well,
part.
again, every car is designed a little bit different as far as that goes. I've driven cars, especially Hondas, where you just barely touch the brake pedal and you're almost hitting the windshield.
We were just talking about that before class started.
Really?
At the Honda dealership, some of the newer cars.
Mhm.
Like I'm trying to get it onto the lift. As I'm going over, like I'm looking for the
Right.
metal plate
Mhm.
so I can line it up. As I'm looking out the window, I'm like barely tap. I tap and I like push forward. I hit my jaw on the fucking window jamb. I'm like going forward.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
barely, like I swear to you, like it's barely a tap.
Yeah.
Because that first like maybe like centimeter you push in, it's really loose, and, like doesn't do anything. And as soon as I pass that, I just
Yeah,
go forward and hit my man.
yeah.
It didn't
Every car's
hurt,
a
but I got
little
mad.
different. Some you got to put a little bit more force on. They don't stop as quick or whatever. And
Yeah.
some of them are just like super sensitive.
Yeah.
I remember this guy brought his Honda Accord over one time for me to work on. It wasn't for a brake problem. It was something else. I can't remember what it was, but I went to road test. I took it down the street, and I just, wanted to stop, and I just put normal brake pedal force on it like I would with any car. And I was just like, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, it just almost launched me out of the seat. Like, shit, how do you drive this thing? Just the weight of your foot. It's almost
Exactly.
too much.
Especially the extended gas pedals and stuff, while you compress it and it comes up and down. One time I got into a truck, the seat was like all the way like this, so I wasn't that close, so I just left it, right? So I pressed the gas in the service center, and it has like those 6 floors. So I gave it a little gas, so all 4 cars went down. Like, everybody started looking at me, even the manager, John, looked at me. I was like, it was an accident because like it was so close to the pedals.
Yeah.
I was close to the chair, so it was just bad.
Brakes and Hondas are really fucking good.
All right, where are we at? 1 pound of force. Where are we at? Okay, 1 pound of force exerted on a small piston in the sealed system transfer pressure to each square inch throughout the system. In this example, 1 pound of force could lift a 100-pound weight. Supported by a piston that is 100 times larger than the small one. So, if the piston was only 1 square inch and it was pushing fluid into a cylinder that was 100 square inches, it would only take 1 pound of force to lift 100 pounds. The miracle of hydraulics. Awesome, right?
Yeah.
The amount of force on the piston is a result of pressure multiplied by the surface area. Again, you don't have to memorize this stuff, just giving you an idea of what you're looking at. You have a stoplight switch or a brake light switch on the brake pedal. When you push on it, it closes that switch, completes the circuit, turns the brake lights on, and tells the body controller that you have your foot on the brake. Some will actually have a brake pedal position sensor too, so it knows how far and how much pressure you're putting on the brake. We talked about the mechanical advantage before. It's about a 5 to 1 on there. As you can see, if you put 20 pounds of force on your brake pedal, you end up with about 100 at the master cylinder piston that's actually forcing fluid, okay? The real magic of your brake system is the fact that different forces can be created at different wheel cylinders. Larger area pistons are used in brake calipers on the front wheels to increase the force used to apply the front brakes. On a typical vehicle, driver input force of 150 pounds, boosted both mechanically through the brake pedal linkage and the power booster, could produce a fluid pressure of 1,700 psi with only 150 pounds of force on the brake pedal.
I don't get this one.
I don't either. What?
This 100 pounds over 1 square inch equals 100 psi. Okay, I got that. 100 pounds over 2 square inch equals 50 psi. Okay, I could go with that. But then it says 100 pounds over 0.5 square inch equals 200.
It's the confined space, the smaller space that it has with the more pressure. It builds more pressure. That's
Oh,
what it
okay,
is.
okay.
All right.
So you see, like
We
the
talked
medium,
about
50,
this
medium is 100,
Oh, yeah,
smaller is
yeah,
200.
yeah.
It's
In
just
the
the
last
order they put it in. I'm
chapter.
confused. It got me too for a second. I thought about it.
Brake caliper, single piston. As you know, some brake calipers have 4 pistons, some have 6. Okay, meaning it's got pistons on both sides of the caliper. If it's only a single piston, it's only going to have one, and obviously on one side. So, again, when you push the brake pedal, you got hydraulic fluid in here, pushes the piston here, applies this brake pad, and then the caliper actually will slide and apply this one. Okay, so if you have brake caliper slides or something like that that are dirty, or for some reason they won't let the caliper slide much, you're going to have excessive brake pad wear on this pad and not so much on that side. So, if you look, you see where the wheel bolt's on right here? Let's say if you were checking the brakes on a car, and maybe you don't want to pull the wheel off, but it had big openings in the wheels where you could see the brakes. Sometimes this is all you can see, is the outside pad. And you might go, well, doesn't look too bad. Well, doesn't need brakes for a while. But maybe this one is worn a little bit more and you just can't see it. So the best way to do a brake inspection, what I'm getting at, is actually pull the wheels off, okay? All right, hydraulic pressure and piston size, that's all over the place in that book. They stress how the hydraulics work in different size pistons, stuff like that, which I'm not going to go through every single piece of this because again, it's not really something you can be tested on, and you gotta really need to know just basically how it works is all. This one we just looked at that she was talking about. Application force and piston size. When equal pressures acts on unequal areas with different sized pistons, brake application force differs as well. Larger pistons will increase the application force, smaller pistons will decrease the application force. Size versus travel. The larger caliper piston with greater force does not move as far as a small master cylinder piston. So not all of your wheel cylinders or brake calipers are going to have the same size piston. But it depends on the application force that they design it with. But again, you don't have to worry about all this stuff too much. There may be a couple of quiz questions in there, but all you gotta do is just memorize what those are, and you'll be okay for the test. But I don't think on your ASE test, you're not gonna be quizzed on any application forces or piston sizes and stuff like that. So, you know, again, if you have the basic idea down how hydraulics work, that's really all you're gonna need to know, all right? Okay, we've been through this before many times. When a force is applied to a liquid in a confined space or an enclosure, pressure is transmitted equally and undiminished in every direction. Your master cylinder, that's the main man of your brake system, right? That's where everything happens. When you push on that brake pedal, you're actually applying force on that master cylinder piston through the brake pedal, okay? The linkage is used to apply the brake pedal, the driver's foot into a closed hydraulic system at the master cylinder. You will have a reservoir for the fluid. It's normally see-through, so you don't have to pull the top off it. Check brake fluid. As you know, most of them you can see through. Okay, it's one of the reasons they do that. There is enough fluid reserved to allow the brakes to wear out and still have enough fluid for safe operation. Your master cylinder holds plenty of fluid, okay? It holds enough fluid that if you wear your brakes completely out, no brake linings left on them, it's still going to have enough fluid, okay? So, one way to tell if a car needs brakes, check the brake fluid. If it's low, it probably needs brakes.
How often should you change your brake fluid? Or like, you
The
know,
fluid?
flush it? Yeah.
Flush it?
Yeah, flush it.
I don't know, I guess, a lot of it depends on, again, driving habits. If, you know, if you're really hard on your brakes or, you know, you got a heavy brake pedal foot, you probably should do it more often, but I would say you shouldn't have to do it more than maybe once a year or maybe once every 2 years. I mean, you know, it's not like an oil change where you gotta do it
Yeah.
every few months, but definitely a good idea to do a brake flush at least every 2 years, I would say.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Okay, so, you get a car in the shop, you're checking it out, you're doing a service on it, oil change, tire rotation, filter, whatever a normal PM service would be, right? And you check the brake fluid. You're gonna check all the fluids anyway, right? And the brake fluid's low. Okay, normally your master cylinder is gonna have a full mite or a max or a minimum, okay? So let's say it's at the minimum or maybe a little below the minimum. What do? What's your next step?
Can you say that one more time?
What's that?
Can you say that one more time?
Here's your master cylinder, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You check the fluid on it, and it's right here.
Mm-hmm. Check.
What are you gonna do?
Check the pads.
You measure your brake pads.
What's that?
You measure your brake pads to see.
What you said for the brake line,
I'm sorry.
master cylinder is brake line.
Yeah, I'm talking about the master cylinder, where the fluid is, right? Where your brake fluid
Yeah,
is.
brake line, yeah.
It's gonna have a minimum and a maximum line on it, most likely. Almost all of them do, right? So you go to check it, and the fluid is right at the minimum line or maybe below it. What's
Check
the
your
next
pads.
thing you're gonna do? Are you just gonna take the top off and fill it up with fluid and call it a day?
No, you're gonna check your pads all around and you wanna check for any leaks.
As your brake pads wear, it takes more fluid from the system to take up the space where the brake pads were, right? The pistons have to travel farther than the calipers, takes more fluid to do that. As your brakes wear, the fluid level is naturally gonna go down, right? So, most likely the car needs brakes. Let's say, you just say, well, let's just fill it back up to somewhere in there. That way, at least I feel like I did something. And now it's not low on brake fluid, right?
No.
At some point in time, it's gonna need brakes, right?
Yeah.
So what happens when you do your brakes? You have to compress the calipers, right?
Mhm.
And what happens when you do? The fluid goes backwards through the system. It's gonna overflow the master cylinder, and you're gonna have fluid everywhere.
I was also
And that's a
told
problem.
that if you do that, it puts air in the line.
Nope, it does not.
Oh.
You cannot get air in the lines by taking the master cylinder top off, putting fluid in, or doing anything like that. It's not possible.
So,
Okay.
I have a quick question. So, send your car to the dealership to do brakes, but you filled up your brake fluid with all you needed,
Mm-hmm.
and you send it over there and they're changing your brakes, will they look at that first and see if it's?
They should. If you're doing the brakes on a car and the master cylinder already like at the max line, you should suck some fluid out of it. Because when you compress those calipers, it's gonna back that fluid all the way back up to the master cylinder, it's gonna overflow it.
Don't they, don't they drain the brake fluid too sometimes, or?
Sometimes they do, sometimes they'll do a brake flush with the brake drop, yeah, yeah. So, the other thing is, if the master cylinder is over full, there's no room for expansion and contraction. When that brake fluid heats up, those brakes could self-apply. So your brakes could end up dragging while you're driving down the road. Okay? Master cylinder reservoir design, or diaphragm, I should say. Helps reduce moisture from getting in contact with the brake fluid, because I told you brake fluid's hydroscopic, right? Likes to pick up moisture. You should only use brake fluid from a sealed container too, okay? Don't use brake fluid from something, got a can or a bottle or whatever that's been sitting, especially with the lid off of it.
Okay, isn't it contaminated once the lid is open and it's exposed to air? If it's sitting there unopened, it then becomes.
It depends on how long it's been sitting there. Air is not gonna dilute it, but the moisture in the air,
The
especially if you live somewhere with a high humidity level,
Mm-hmm,
yeah, the brake fluid's gonna pick up,
Yeah.
water, especially if it's left in an open container.
yeah.
So, I mean, if it's a sealed container, you're probably safe, but. Okay. Let's see. It also has a seal to help air, from getting in contact with brake fluid, just because of the moisture, it's not gonna get air in the system. It's a moisture thing, right? Okay, master cylinder is separated into two pressure building chambers or circuits, primary and secondary. The primary one's closest to the brake booster or closest to your foot. Secondary one's the furthest away. Typical master cylinder with it cut away here. Obviously, this is not what it looks like when you look at it. This is just what it looks like on the inside. It's going to have a brake fluid level sensor on it as well. Brake fluid gets to a certain point, it's going to turn on the red brake light on. Okay, the same one that your park brake comes on when you apply, all right? Hmm?
You said the brake light will come on?
If the fluid gets low to a certain point, the brake light, the red brake light will come on. So that brake light comes on for three reasons. You got a hydraulic system pressure problem, you got low fluid, or the park brake is on. Do not fill the master cylinder. We just talked about that. Okay? It probably needs brakes. Master cylinder with brake fluid at the level where it says maximum, definitely never exceed the maximum. Okay? If this is your max line where this fluid level is right here, don't ever put more in it than that. Max means max. It needs that room for expansion and contraction in there, okay? Just kind of the same thing as not overfilling your gas tank.
Okay, what about put it on
I'm sorry?
What about coolant?
Does coolant have a max level?
Yeah,
On your coolant?
yeah,
On your surge tank?
uh-huh.
Yeah.
What about when you overfill it? When you overfill it, like,
What happens if you overfill your coolant tank, like if it's max and you go over it?
It depends on how far you went over it. If it was just a little bit, don't worry about it. But if it's like up to where the cap is, it should suck some out of it.
Oh, just,
Yeah. It's not as big a problem as with master cylinder. It's not gonna really cause any problem. It's just not a good idea.
so if
The
you're
brakes master cylinder is way more important to not overfill than the coolant. It's not gonna be really a big deal if you overfill the coolant, a reservoir, the surge tank a little bit. Is that what you were asking?
yeah.
Okay.
So if your car gets like up really high, will it overflow or just suck it out? You know, so-
It could push it past the cap, but you probably won't. So as long as it's not like all the way up to the cap, you're probably okay, but again, you should never exceed the maximum fill line on any fluid.
Cause my dad overfull it in my car's house, it's like,
Yeah, depends on how much. A little bit or all the way to the top?
so like the max level is like right here.
Uh-huh.
Probably like right here.
Okay, so how far is
Cap-
it from
cap
like
is
the
like
cap?
right- Cap is like right here. Like it did.
Yeah, it'll be all right. Yeah, it won't cause any problems. Okay, your brake pedal is supported by a mount that attaches to a U-shaped bracket. Pin used to retain the clevis pin of the brake pedal, usually called the clevis pin, yeah. Primary, secondary cylinders or circuits in your master cylinder. Red brake light will come on if the brake fluid drops too low. Both pressure building sections of the master cylinder contain 2 holes from the reservoir. According to SAE, they use these terms forward or the tapered high pressure hole is a vent port, also called the compensating port. The rear one, straight drilled low pressure hole, is called the replenishing port, also called inlet bypass filler breather. There are various names for these ports in the master cylinder. Shows you 1 and 2 on the primary and secondary. That port's also called compensating or bypass. Okay, the primary sealing cups are between the compensating porthole and the inlet porthole on your master cylinder at rest position, meaning you do not have your foot on the brake pedal. As you apply it, the piston moves forward, primary sealing cup covers and blocks off the vent port. Hydraulic pressure builds in the front of the primary seal, pushes the push rod. Secondary one is moved forward as pressure is exerted by the primary piston. Vent ports must remain open to allow brake fluid to expand when heated by friction material transferred to the caliper and or wheel cylinder. As brake fluid increases in temperature, it expands. Heated brake fluid can expand and flow back into the reservoir through vent ports. Okay. As the brake fluid is pressed, push rod moves the primary piston forward, closing up the vent port we saw a minute ago. As the port is blocked, pressure builds in front of the primary sealing cups, which pushes the secondary piston. Secondary piston moves forward, blocking the secondary vent port, building pressure in the front of the sealing cup. It's actually a very simple, well-designed system. Even if a master cylinder fails, your car is still going to stop. It's just the way it's made. Okay? It may take a couple of pushes on the brake pedal to get it to stop, but again, the chances of your brakes just going out, meaning I pushed on my brake pedal and my car just kept going. I pushed it again 3 or 4 times and it just kept going. The chances of that happening are nearly impossible. Okay. Front rear split master cylinders. That just means that the master cylinder uses two separate pressure building systems. The nose end is closed in toward the front of the vehicle. In the event of a hydraulic failure in either section, mechanical operation of the piston will create the needed pressure in the section without the failure. Another way that it is kind of foolproof or safe even if you have a failure. On the diagonal split, that's normally on front wheel drive cars because the weight of the entire powertrain is on the front wheels. 80 to 90% of the braking force is achieved by the front brakes. If the front brakes fail, the rear brakes alone cannot provide adequate braking force. That's why front wheel drive vehicles have a diagonal split master cylinder, okay? For this reason. Your front brakes do most of your stopping. If the front brakes fail for whatever reason, the rear brakes cannot stop the car, or at least not fast enough, okay? That was the solution to that, diagonal split master cylinder. So it's gonna apply one front, one rear. One front, one rear, okay? That way you can't have a failure of both of your front brakes, it's not possible. Okay, this is what's called a quick take-up master cylinder. Some vehicles use low drag disc brake calipers to increase fuel economy. Excessive brake pedal travel is required before the pads touch the rotor. This may be what you're talking about on a certain type of vehicle where you said some of them are stop really easy when you push on the brake, and some of them take a little more effort, a little more pedal pressure, or a little bit more travel on the brake pedal. This could be the case in one of those cars. May have the low drag brake system that uses a quick take-up master cylinder. Extra volume of fluid takes up the extra clearance of the front brake calipers without increasing brake pedal distance. Rear-wheel drive vehicles will use a dual split master cylinder. Meaning one section is for the front brakes, one section is for the rear brakes. Primary outlet closest to the push rod end of the master cylinder, which is right here. This is what actually gets pushed when you push on the brake pedal. Okay? Primary, secondary. In the event of a primary system failure, no hydraulic pressure is available to push the second piston forward. As a result, the primary piston extension contacts the secondary piston and pushes on the secondary piston mechanically rather than hydraulically. Again, a pretty foolproof design. Even with failures, your car's still going to stop. As we talked about a minute ago, front-wheel drive vehicles are going to use a diagonal split master cylinder. One section operates the right front and the left rear. The other section operates the left front and the right rear. Quick take-up master cylinder can be identified by oversized primary, low-pressure chamber, which you wouldn't be able to see anyway. Okay, the brake pedal depressor trick. What is that? Anybody read that or get that far?
The master cylinder can be used to block the flow of brake fluid whenever any hydraulic brake component is removed. Brake fluid tends to leak out because the master cylinder is usually higher than most other hydraulic components. Also, to prevent brake fluid loss that can easily empty the master cylinder reservoir, simply depress the brake pedal slightly
or prop a stick or other pedal depressor to keep the brake pedal down. When the brake pedal is depressed, the piston sealing cups move forward, blocking off the reservoir from the rest of the braking system. The master cylinder stays full and the brake fluid stops dripping out of the brake lines that have been disconnected.
Okay, and then they give you a little example there. In order to prove this point, everybody's done this, put a straw in a glass of something, plug the end of the straw and you pull it out and the fluid stays there, right? Until you move your finger. Okay. All right. There was something else that I wanted to look at real quick. I can't remember what it is now. Oh. How much brake fluid is moved when you apply your brakes? How much brake fluid actually moves? Did anybody read that?
Where's that at? Like a little bit?
Very little bit,
Yeah.
about a teaspoon.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's it.
What page is that on?
That's,
1119 in the green FAQ box. Let's see. Brake pedal, yeah.
Oh, 5 milliliters, damn.
All right. Why do they use a diagonal split hydraulic system? What's the purpose of that? We talked about it a minute ago, if you had your ears and eyes open.
For the rear and front.
Yep. It says that's how it works. Right front, left rear, right front, or left front, right. What's that?
Because broke, your front brakes don't fail, that same number.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why.
Yeah, yep. In case of a failure, the rear brakes are not capable of stopping the vehicle, okay? Make sure there's enough hydraulic pressure to stop the vehicle in the event of a failure. Okay. Diagnosing the master cylinder. If you have a problem, check the brake fluid for proper level and condition. Check that the vent holes in the reserve cover are open and clean. Reservoir cover diaphragm is not torn or enlarged. Make sure there's no leaks at the lines, push rod area, stuff like that. Proper brake pedal height. It's important for proper operation of your brake light switch and the pedal position sensor. If it's not correct, master cylinder operation can be affected. Brake pedal free play. As you know, there's a little bit of free play in that brake pedal. When you push that brake pedal, the car doesn't stop immediately. The pedal moves a little bit, right? 1/8 to 1.5 inches, depending on the car. Kind of like your clutch pedal free play, right? When you push on your clutch pedal, if you have a manual transmission, you shouldn't feel pressure on it right away. You should have a little bit of free play in that pedal. To measure brake pedal travel. Measure and record the distance from the brake pedal to the lower rim of the steering wheel. While holding 100 pounds of force, record the distance from the pedal to the lower rim of the steering wheel. Subtract the applied measurement from the unapplied measurement to get a total pedal travel. Normally, you're not going to need to do that. If you have a pedal travel issue, you probably got a problem in the hydraulic system, but there is a way to actually measure that. But bad master cylinder symptoms: spongy brake pedal. What does spongy brake pedal mean?
It's soft.
The opposite of hard brake pedal, right? If you have a brake pedal, you go to step on the brakes of your car and it's really hard. What's the problem? Most likely, the hard brake pedal. What do you think?
Air in.
No. What? No. Hard brake pedal. Push on the brake pedal and it's hard to push.
Too much, is it too compressed? Or
Boost.
decompressed, or boost braking?
The brake booster is bad.
Oh.
Most likely. Okay? If it's spongy, you got air on the system. If it's lower than normal, yeah, it could be a few different problems on that one. Sinking brake pedal, you got a hydraulic system leak.
When we do brake flushes over at Honda, once we get in the car, test it, press it a couple times to compress it,
Uh-huh.
it starts off really hard
Mm-hmm.
and then it's soft. Why does it start off hard and then go to soft?
When you're doing a brake bleed?
No, we're flushing the fluid and then replacing it.
Okay.
So it starts off, and then when we first fill the fluid back in, pressing in the brake is really solid, and then after like 3 or 4 pumps, it gets soft, spongy.
That's true, yeah.
Why does it get solid like that?
Mhm.
Oh,
Because these are
okay.
newer cars, I wouldn't think it's a
So,
brake
so probably what's happening is you're depleting the vacuum in the booster by pushing the
Okay.
pedal. So, if you want to try this out, here's what works pretty good. So, get in your car,
Mhm.
put your foot on the brake, and then start the car, and you should feel the brake pedal go down a little bit, okay? Or you could get in your car and don't start the engine, push on the brake pedal 3 or 4 times, and every time you push on the brake pedal, it's gonna get harder and harder and harder to push.
With the brake.
Leave your foot on the brake, start the car, and you're gonna feel the pedal drop a little bit.
Okay.
It's supposed to do that. That checks if your booster's working. Obviously, you would know because you'd be complaining about
Yeah.
brakes hard to push. okay?
That's how a lot of them are, like before it's
Mhm.
turned on, like even before we do the flush, it's
Yep.
like hard,
Mhm.
you turn the car and it slowly pushes
Yep,
in.
that's the booster kicking in. Yeah, it's supposed to do that.
But after that, once we turn the car on, for a few couple pumps, it's solid and then it's soft. So that's just the brake booster,
Mhm.
like it disengages when you turn it
Mhm.
off,
Mhm.
re-engages when you turn it back on.
Mhm.
Okay.
Engine
Okay.
vacuum, okay?
Got you.
Quick and easy brake reserve test, we'll get into that. I don't know why they do this, but what they're telling you here is, if you put your foot underneath the brake pedal, and then the other foot on the brake pedal, that pedal should not contact your shoe. It shouldn't travel far enough to hit your other shoe.
Is that bad?
If it travels that far, can be. Now, again, this is different for every car, but that's just kind of giving you a
My pedal goes down there all the way to the floor.
What?
Yeah, my brake pedal almost goes all the way to the floor.
Oh, okay, well, that's not good.
What do you think the problem could be?
Brake pedal
Everything's
height
fine.
is usually measured from the floor to the top of the brake pedal. You know what you could do, you could probably look up a spec for that and find out what the brake pedal is supposed to be, and
Okay.
then compare it to yours and say, okay, well, I got a
Everything's
problem, or I
fine.
don't.
My braking is fine,
Yeah.
I don't have
Again,
any
you're gonna have a
lights.
little brake pedal free play.
Okay,
The distance between the brake pedal fully released and when you feel resistance on the pedal.
gotcha.
This works the same way with a clutch pedal. You have a little bit of free play in there. One way to measure your pedal travel. Bottom rim of the steering wheel to the brake pedal. Apply the brakes, measure the distance again. Another brake pedal. Common causes of master cylinder failure or symptoms. What are the most common master cylinder fault symptoms? If you have a bad master cylinder, what are the things you're gonna notice? Symptoms.
Air.
Your brake.
Spongy brake pedal. lower than
Okay,
normal
spongy brake pedal is one of them, right?
Sinking.
Sinking brake pedal, yeah. Lower than normal brake pedal. Sinking brake pedal means you're driving down the road, you come up to a stop, you hit the brake, your car stops just fine. As you're sitting there at the light, the brake pedal just starts fading to the floor. That's what they call a sinking brake pedal, okay? Master cylinder's probably bad.
Okay, that might be what my thing is.
Let's see how much we got left on this.
It's like 2 more pages.
Yeah, okay, we'll just go ahead and go through the last few slides here. We'll do the quiz after lunch. Okay. Master cylinder service. It tells you they can be disassembled, cleaned, rebuilt, all that kind of stuff. Just buy a new one. It's not worth your time. It's not worth the hassle. Why would you take the time to rebuild a master cylinder when you can just go get another one, right? Plus, you're probably gonna have a problem finding the rebuild kit for it, so. It is possible to rebuild it, though. The reservoir is usually removable from the actual master cylinder body, but I can tell you right now, if you did what they're showing you right now, it would crack that reservoir. You have to replace it anyway.
I thought that was weird when I saw that using a pry bar.
Yeah, pry it on plastic. I've tried that. Almost every time that reservoir will crack, because that reservoir is pressed into that, master cylinder with a couple of rubber seals in there, and they are in there good. Chances are you will not get it apart. There's no reason to anyway. Sometimes, however, when you buy a master cylinder, sometimes, you're only gonna get this. You're not gonna get the reservoir. So you'd have to change it over. But I would recommend just buying a reservoir too, because again, you try to take that off, it's probably gonna break it. Okay, there's those little seals I was telling you about. If you go into the master cylinder, those seals are reservoir to it. But that is a super tight fit in there. For obvious reasons, right? Before you put a master cylinder car, you should bleed the master cylinder. Meaning take it like this, put it in a vise. Sometimes a master cylinder, they'll give you a little bleeder kit with it. They're just little plastic lines that you hook up here with a hose here, and you run it into the reservoir, fill this up. Then you just give it a few times, it'll push the fluid and the air out of it. And that way when you put it on, you have less likely to push air through the system. And maybe if you're really lucky, you can get away without even bleeding the brakes. Always tighten the fasteners properly, yeah, okay. All right, we'll do the quiz after lunch, see you guys in, a little late, so 20 till hour.